So today with huge implications, Equus Awards at stake. Don't forget that on the 15th of August here at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth will be the Equus Awards. But for now, it's time to talk about the Gold Cup and the race meeting and the 10 races happening at Hollywoodbets Greyville on Sunday, the 28th of July, the last big day of the season. Wall-to-wall feature races for those who are racing fans. It's probably the true blue race meeting on the South African racing calendar. Really looking forward to taking you through the card. Another panel coming your way. And we did things very well on Hollywoodbets Durban Gelado. Let's do things as well, because the panel that we got here includes Richard Fourie, Justin Vermaak, and Brandon Bailey. I'm going to pick their brains and just touch on all the races, but go in depth a little bit more when it comes to the Grade 1s. Don't forget to like and subscribe onto our Cape Racing YouTube channel for all the content. You'll see a few more panel discussions once the summer gets underway. In fact, maybe once the spring gets underway, you'll see a few more panel discussions. So join us for all of those perfectly placed inserts and various other marketing tools to bring you to Hollywoodbets Kenilworth or Hollywoodbets Durbanville as the new season commences from the 1st of August. Right, let's get straight into it with race number 1, which starts at 12:05. The Whirlpool with Tab Gold Darley, a listed feature, gets underway at 12:12 as mentioned. And I'm going to kick off with Richard here. You ride Joker Man, who you rode last time. Kind of gone from being a nice horse to a horse that looks like he's got quite a lot more to come. What do you make of him?
Yeah, a nice style of horse. He's got a big action. Obviously, you didn't know too much of him last time, and he jumped out and he had a bit of a soft lead. And then just before he came into the straight, I elected to pull him to the outside, and purely because the wind was blowing across from the front that day, and didn't want anything sneaking up on my outside. So it worked out quite nicely. He quickened up nicely, fought him off well. But saying that, he's gone up in the divisions. I think he's taking on 1 or 2 strong competitors in this race itself.
Justin, you obviously have ties to Johan's yard and obviously Lawrence Werner's as well. Has he got to a ceiling yet? And on that note, bar Joker Man, who are the horses we focus on in race 1?
I think, look, he's obviously been very well placed. I mean, Johan does have a knack for doing that, and he likes to look after them in the right races until they're exposed right at the last minute. And obviously, as Richard touched on, that's going to be his day on the weekend where he's tested at Feature Company. He got draw 1 at Greyville at over a mile. It's as good a time as any to take your chance, and he beat a half-decent sort last time. He was a very backward young horse with super long pastons, and I think that explains why he's taken quite a while to come to hand. But he's done absolutely nothing wrong, as we've touched on, up in class. And I think in this race, just looking at the profile of the field, for me, the one that stuck out as a horse to beat would be the Grey King. Just on the way he ran last time, he was, despite not being very badly drawn on Hollywoodbets Durban Gelado, he found himself quite out of his ground, being a 14 on a surface which wasn't going to suit him, the poly track. He's more of a longer action, unwinding type of galloping horse, and now he's going to a mile on the turf, and I think he'll probably be a little more prominent, or hopefully, than he was last time, and he should be the horse to beat here in my book.
Let's go on to race number 2, the first leg of the bar, but I'm going to start with Brandon before we go to Richard about Rodeo Drive. And don't forget to take advantage of the big numbers with the pools, courtesy of Whirlpool, and we'll get to the pick 6 in just a moment, which is expected to be a bumper. Brandon, are you opening up the bar pot with a banker?
Yeah, look, Alistair, quite short. I was just having a look at the market before coming onto the show. I see 11 to 10 is the current price about this individual. I think she's going to take a power beating.
I assume this is Rodeo Drive.
That's right, yes. Rodeo Drive. I think she's going to take a power beating. Just having a look at the rest of the field, I really can't see her getting beat in this particular race, Alistair. I mean, she won a good race last time out. The margin doesn't really paint that picture. Craig Zaki had time to look over his shoulder 300 meters from home already, and I mean, on that Grade 1 run to quid pro quo, you have to think with this sort of a draw over 1200 meters, she's going to take a bit of beating.
Richard, where does she stack up in terms of your rides on the day? One of your best, sort of middle of the range?
Definitely on the top of the list.
Okay.
She's very smart.
Okay, well, I think that's enough information for the first leg of the bar pot. As we move on to the first leg of the place accumulator, race number 3, which is the at Whirlpool Twitter Stakes. At 1:15, a field of 10 face a starter. I'm going to kick off with you here, Justin. Do you have any inkling for the first leg of the place accumulator?
I think this is an interesting race. Obviously, the Cornet Spies horse, Chocolate Soldier, has been quite impressive. It's never easy. He's carried the weight of a 99 against older horses last time and won, which is always a good feat for a juvenile. Question marks potentially, Alistair, about the trip. He's very, very fast to the point where he ran in that 400-meter dash race. Most of his good performances, obviously, over the 5 furlong, now going a little bit extra if there's ever a track where you want to do that, it's at Hollywoodbets Greyville. So it'll be interesting to see if he has the stamina to see it out. I personally think at about 6.5 to 1, this horse of Johannes Bjorn Ironside is a huge runner. The way the race unfolded last time, he ran against a very, very good horse in Pistol Pete, who, if it wasn't for a lack of galloping room, probably would have been right on top of them in the gold medallion Group 1. And you know, he pulled quite hard in the first part of that race versus Pistol Pete, and I think he came to the 500 or so, and he was still travelling so well. I think Gavin thought he was going to go and win the race there in that moment and get away like he did the time before, especially with Pistol Pete carrying 62. And I think the move was potentially a little bit premature, because the last 50 he ran out of gas after having gone at the 4-pole, and the very, very good Pistol Pete just had too much guns for him. But I think Pistol Pete would be short horse in the betting here in this race, and I think Bjorn Ironside, he'll suit the track. Hopefully he can drop the bit early, and he'll take a power beating here, and I think he's a really, really good price.
Richard Urad Danson from Sanson obviously had his payday on the KZN Breeders' Day. Looked a penalty kick there. A little bit harder for him, but are you impressed and encouraged with how he's coming along?
Yeah, look, that race was run on the poly. They went quite quick, and he was a little bit, you know, he didn't have the speed. But I have to agree with Justin on Bjorn Ironside. That horse's form is good. I tried so hard to get Mr. Terry to run Proceed here. Obviously, he would have had a penalty, but I think it would have been a nice soft target. Obviously, they elected to go for the Group 1 mile with Proceed, and yeah, have to go with the 6 as the biggest danger in the race.
Anything we left out, Brandon?
Alistair, I've got a horse at 14 to 1. I know it's a big step up in class, but he looks smart. This horse, Bourbon Warrior. Go and watch him closely. He's a lovely moving individual. I know the yard think quite a bit of him, and even though this is a big step up, I'm saying for punters, maybe not now, but in the future he could be a horse that we need to watch closely. A horse called Field Marshal came out to frank the form line. He got left on that occasion. Never easy to win first time out at Hollywoodbets Scottsville, and I know that they think quite a bit of him, so watch him going forward.
Okay, well that's not the first time I've heard about Bourbon Warrior today, so let's see how he goes at this level. Could very much be alive. Now, the pick 6 target is 15 million rand. That starts in race number 4 at 10 to 2. Take advantage of all the grade 1s, the high quality action on offer here at Hollywoodbets Greyville on Gold Cup Day. Brandon, I'm going to kick off with you because there's quite a subplot going on here with Quid Pro Quo, unfashionably bred daughter of Lance. And as far as the scribers make out, could be the first filly to win the Alan Robertson, the Golden Slipper, and also the Douglas White Tigweni Filly Stakes. All of that becomes academic when looking at the card and trying to structure your pick 6. Is she the one to beat? Is she a banker in the first leg of the pick 6?
I may get the hairy eyeball, but for me this won't get beat, Alistair. Last time out, if you go and watch the race closely, I know she had the inside draw, but she fought for a good 300-400 meters, and I thought, all right, now it's probably going to be a race, because obviously we know that Gimmy's Countess was well fancied on that occasion, and the way she turned it on in a ticky, going through the 400 and the finish, she really switched it on beautifully. I'm not too concerned about the draw. She's going to enjoy being held up. 1,600 meters, I know there's been 1 or 2 people already saying that the mile is what we need to watch. But Alistair, from my side, I'm supremely confident. I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to say 12 to 10 is a good price.
Justin, can we be that confident about Quid Pro Quo? Because obviously at Hollywoodbets Scottsville she won. Samunga switched her out at probably the right time, got out before Gimmy's Countess, who was obviously unlucky there, didn't follow up on Hollywoodbets Durban July Day, but Quid Pro Quo did. She won easier over 1,400 than she did over 1,200, certainly to the eye. Extra furlong going to worry you at all?
Not on what we've seen so far. She's not the most imposing of specimens, but you can't get away from the fact that when it comes to pure athleticism, she's obviously a very, very fast racehorse, which is why she's dominating fields the way she is. I mean, this is not a vintage renewal of a Group 1 by any stretch of the imagination. I think she will have it slightly tougher here because of the presence of the Sean Terry horse number 2, World of Alice, who, if you take a line through Fatal Flaw, she defeated Fatal Flaw a few runs back, who went on to run second to Quid Pro Quo last time. Obviously, Quid Pro Quo beat her by much further. But with the swing in the draws and the fact that World of Alice should get run of the race from draw 2 and her improving as well, potentially, I think she's going to make the favourite raise a bit more of a gallop and presents a pretty decent piece of opposition.
Richard, you stuck with number 4, Whistle the Tune. Dane Cotson has 3 runners, and I'm sure the phone would have rung from a few other trainers trying to retain your services. What's your thinking going into this Douglas White Stakes?
Well, the 2 horse, definitely Wilder Vallis. It's got to go in. Whistle the Tune last time, I got impeded in a very awkward time through the 350 where I lost all my momentum. So that's why I went with this filly again. Then Lock and Key last time when I rode her gave me a really, really nice feel. She was up in class, drawn bad. Yes, it was, I think it was on the poly. But being a young juvenile taking on the 80 handicaps, you know, the way she did it in fine style. And then obviously Quid Pro Quo is the horse to beat in the race. So yeah, that would be my selection for the top 4.
Just quickly, Keegan DeMello back from Hong Kong, and Hong Kong being a big partner in this race day. You rode there for a while. How much improvement do you make as a jockey just riding at that type of level, Happy Valley and Shots? And I mean, Keegan's first season in Hong Kong, despite being a quiet end, he had probably one of the best debut seasons in Hong Kong. How much do you think he'll come on as a jockey on his first day back in South Africa, even though it is just a fleeting visit?
Well, naturally he's already good, so he didn't have to learn too much in Hong Kong. He's natural. It's Greyville. It's probably one of his most favourite tracks. He rode a ton of winners there last season, so it won't be unfamiliar territory to him. He's just all natural and a good sportsman.
Race number 5 is the Whirlpool Moment of the Day Champion Stakes. It's the start of Jackpot 1. Gets underway at 20-3. Of course, the scratching as it stands is number 8, Proceed, which means 15 Parisian Walkway gets a chance to run as it stands. Well, he's in the field. Justin, there's a school of thought this looks to be quite a hot 2-year-old colt crop. We'll know a lot more in 12 months' time, and who's running in Hollywoodbets Durban July, and who's winning Splash Out Cape Derbies and Hollywoodbets Cape Guineas and Triple Crowns and Joburg, what have you. But as it stands right now, I think you can be quite impressed with a good cross-section of these horses. Who stands out in this race, though?
It's a tricky one. I think horses that may potentially stand out, Alistair, are drawn quite wide. And, you know, I always harp on about this fact of and when we're trying to evaluate races and we're looking at past races it's so important you don't just take the number and the finishing order on face value and see how the actual race was run. For example, with this group of horses, you know, I'm of the firm belief that Cosmic Speed only beat Proceed last time because Cosmic Speed was drawn 2, had run of the race, and Proceed was drawn 14 and had to give him all the head start in the world. If the draws were reversed, Proceed wins that event on that day, in my opinion. And now you've got a situation here where, and I think there's a bit of a lurker in this race in the form of number 2, the Specialist, who sat next to Proceed in running last time, made up very good ground to run 3rd, and is now drawn at 2. So without missing the kick or anything going seriously wrong, you've got to imagine that the Specialist won't be worse than 2, 3, 4 lengths off the leader, and not 14 lengths off the leader like last time. And that's a big difference at a track like Hollywoodbets Greyville. So with Mount Pinatubo and the obviously talented Legend of Arthur being drawn out there, if you have another situation where the Specialist has got run of the race and them 2 favoured horses are at the back, you might see very similar to what we saw on Hollywoodbets Durban July Day, where the horse with the run of the race gets away and wins. Might not necessarily be the best horse in the race, but the way it panned out that day in running, it's a lot in that horse's favour. And I've looked into his pedigrees. He runs keen and strong, and he doesn't give the jockey an easy time early, but he's bred to go a trip. So hopefully with racing and experience, he learns how to drop the bit and do his best work in the important part of the race, which is the end. So I think Cosmic Speed, he's not shockingly drawn. Nothing in the family goes past 1,200 meters, rarely, so stamina might be a question there. But those seem to be those 4 I've mentioned. I think the winner will come from there.
Richard, you on number 13, Legend of Arthur. This has been a few months in the making. He obviously didn't win his prep run, but knowing Sean Terry, prep runs on important just to get a run under the belt, and the big deal matters, obviously. He's shown that time and time again. When he wins, to the eye, he's very impressive. As Justin's saying, the draw's going to be crucial. What are your feelings?
Well, he doesn't really need the draw. He switches off, he comes from off them. Not too concerned. Horses to beat, yes, definitely the Specialist. Is a big, beautiful chestnut. Used to race in the white and blue sulks.
Correct, yeah.
He's a very good-looking boy. I rode him once. I thought, okay, drop them back in trip. I said, no, I'll skip him this time and ride him the next time. And obviously he won with Smunga and he get to retain the ride. So he's a lovely horse, very familiar with him. Then obviously Cosmic Speed did nothing wrong last time. He's a very much improving horse, so have to respect those two. But then after that comes the minefield.
So that's how Richard and Justin feel about the Whirlpool Moment of the Day Champion Stakes. How does Brandon feel about it?
Alistair, I think they've pretty much summed it up beautifully. After that, I think the horse that we will need some feedback, and maybe you can help us, because I think he's a smart horse as number 10, Grand Crescendo. He was gelded back on the 14th of May. He ran against older horses. I know he beat Archimedes, so we don't want to jump up and down, but he's still improving as this 2-year-old. A horse like Wahid, maybe Richard, if you can go back to Richard and get some feedback, because he's a smart horse, Wahid, and I've always thought when he goes over a mile, we're going to see the best of him. He kind of hit a flat spot last time out, and by no means at the line was he a dead horse, Alistair. He was slowly starting to build up that momentum. So if Pierce Stratham can work his magic from a tricky draw, I think he's got to go in. It's a wide open contest. You're going to have to go a good 4 or 5 here to make sure that you survive your pick sixes.
Yeah, lots in the pot. Great Plains hasn't got a mention. He's alive. Mount Pinatubo's alive. The truth, if he was drawn better, there'd be a little bit more confidence around. So I think there are a lot of talented individuals in race number 5. I think Justin's opening salvo to this race is probably going to come down to luck and running and not necessarily the best horse in the race. Something from an outside draw were to turn up, well then that would certainly lay claims to a bright future. On we go to the next grade one. It's the Mercury Sprint race number 6. Traditionally, this race has thrown up a little bit of a boil over, but not so much in recent years. Brandon, I'm going to kick off with you, but we're going to work down the line until we get to draw 13 out of 13, because that's exactly where Richard Fourie's jumping out of the favourite, number 13, Lucky Lad. Is it the Lucky Lad show? Are you a little bit sceptical about the draw? Or do you just think his class is going to carry him through?
Look, Alistair, I know that initially he's been priced up at even money. I'd imagine closer to race time he's probably going to drift out, depending on what sort of day punters have had and what sort of day Richard's had. He's got his followers out there. But I'm not too worried about the draw with him, Alistair. He's the sort of horse that we've seen many times. He gives himself a mountain to climb, and boy, oh boy, has he got engines. So he'll make up the ground. If there's one concern, both his lackluster performances have been at Greyville. I know they were over a mile. He's back to what's probably his better trip for now. But Alistair, a horse like At My Command needs to be respected in a big way as well. He finally gets a draw. Last time he came from the clouds. And I think 7-2 is some sort of value. But in short, from my side, one of my favourite horses, and I'll be screaming him home, is Lucky Lad.
I think At My Command's a bit of a nearly man. Justin, just before you go through this field, I've been asked to ask someone on the panel, Snow Pilot. Grade 1 were in the Hollywoodbets Cape Guineas 6 months ago here at Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. Down to a sprint, has he got the capabilities of winning a grade 1 sprint of this nature at weight for age level? Against the Lucky Lads and the At My Commands and the I Am Giants of this world?
I mean, I wouldn't say he's obviously not a sprinting specialist, but it's not impossible for very good milers to win 1200 meter races, especially when you've got the turn like is provided by this track. I mean, early days as a 3-year-old, he was a fairly well-performed horse over a 7, ran second to Questioning, who's a 1400 meter specialist, really good horse. So it's not totally out of the picture. I think it's more of a class thing than a distance suitability thing. And I think, Richard would know more, he's ridden him a few times, but he's quite an aggressive in-running horse. He's not, it's not like he's switched off at the back and making his run late. He's a big galloping individual. So
He'll definitely keep up.
Yeah, he'll have the speed. It's not like he doesn't have the speed, put it that way. And it's not totally out of place by any stretch. I think at My Command, as you alluded to there, he's a bit of a Nairlies man. But he's got a good draw here and he's in good form. And like we saw with Humdinger, right race, right day, sometimes the bridesmaid can get up and get their big day in the sun. I think a bit of outside potential for Sergey, who's always a horse who he seems to run these big races and handicap races. We're giving lumps of weight away, and here it's at levels, and he's drawn 2, and he might have a chance as well. And then obviously the big horse out wide, he's got to be the one to beat.
Richard, 12 months ago you rode a worldie on Isi Vungu Vungu to win the Mercury Sprint. Looked like Gimme a Prince was your main danger, but there was a lot of talk for Gimme a Prince, and you maneuvered yourself across the line after 100 meters rather than the other way around. Lucky Lad draw 13 out of 13. Brandon brings up a good point. That is 2 almighty howlers have come at Hollywoodbets Greyville. He hasn't got the draw, but there's no doubt in my mind that he is the best sprinter in this race. What are the chinks in his armour?
Can't tell you that. The draw, or maybe Greyville. I don't know. He's had 2 starts there over the mile. He does choke up a little bit. So that sort of restricts us to the 6 furlong mark and lower. But he's a good horse. He can quicken. He's done some amazing stuff this season where he comes from nowhere to get up and win. Saying that, going into this race, there's one horse that really sticks out to me, and Hollywoodbets Syndicate hasn't had a Group 1 this season, so if it doesn't go right for me, I hope it goes right for them, because this horse, I'm Giant, has done nothing wrong. He's always been within a length of the finish. He's looking like a type of horse with the draw. If you like, at my command, go look at him. He was drawn further worse out than him, and now he's drawn right on the inside. He's drawn 3, so I think this could be the dark horse of the race.
Okay, very interesting remarks going into the Mercury Sprint. I know what I'm doing. I'm still going to bank a number 13, lucky lad.
Good choice.
I'll set up my stall. Right, let's go on to the Whirlpool Gold Cup. Over 2 miles, 3,200 metres, a field of 15 to face the starter. We got last year's winner, Future Pearl, who ran a lovely race in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. Richard, I'm going to kick off with you. When you won the KZN Derby on him just before the Hollywoodbets Durban July, did he feel like the Future Pearl that was winning all the stayers races last season, as a and also with that said, what was going wrong for him for the first 9 months of this season that he just went completely missing and kind of slipped everyone's mind?
Well, that you'll have to ask Mr. Terry. He's the trainer. I just ride them. But I did go to Reinkiesfontein just before the races, well, 2 weeks before all the Group 1 sprints, and managed to get a feel of him. And the work companion sort of beat him a little bit in the gallop, and I came back. I said, look, he's not at his best, but he has to go to Durban so that we can get him into the system and get him going again. And he jumped out, dropped him to the back of the field, and he won. So I was shocked that, we think we know everything, but we really don't know. And I just think the horse has turned in colour, and he's feeling good again. And his July run, if he had a draw, he probably wins the Hollywoodbets Greyville Durban July. So it was a cracker run, and he's better suited to the 3,000 metre plus sort of range. So it's looking very promising now.
Brandon, Future Pearl, winner of this race last year, every chance of backing it up. How do you feel?
Alistair is 2 from 2 over this distance. 3 of his wins have obviously come at Hollywoodbets Greyville at this course. And I just feel at this time of the year, and Mr. Terry being the masterclass he is, he gets this horse right. I mean, he's really thriving at the moment. He was the fastest finisher in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. Came from the absolute clouds. Richard Fourie's got the draw of 6. He knows him very well. And for me, he's the best stay in the race, Alistair. I think he's going to take a lot of beating. That's
another theme, obviously. Sean Terry versus Justin Snaith. Snaith goes into the meeting just over R1 million ahead of Terry, but Terry's bringing bombs to Hollywoodbets Greyville. Let's see if Snaith can fight him off. Justin, is anything we've left out, or was this the Future Pearl's race to win?
No, we chatted a little bit about this horse beforehand. When he won those races last year, he looked like the best staying horse we'd seen in a decade or more. And then obviously disappointing, but he's come back to form. He ran a cracker in the big race a few weeks back, and if he reproduces that effort, he'll win here quite easily. And you've got to have respect for these other horses like Master Redoute. I mean, he was a couple lengths off in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. His staying form prior to that is top notch. And I think Nebras probably turns the tables on the front 2 runners that beat him in the Vase with the weight turnaround, and he's a good stay. He's coming back to some sort of form as well. So I think the tried and tested route in the staying race.
Yeah, that's generally the case when it comes to the Gold Cup. Let's go into what could be the race of the day, though. The Hong Kong Jockey Club Champions Cup, a race in lots of history, produces champions time and time again. But also over the years, the Hollywoodbets Durban July form doesn't necessarily stand out. That's turned over the last couple of years, but generally, horses that come in fresh, missing the Hollywoodbets Durban July, or probably having a bad prep into the July, tend to do well in the Champions Cup. Let's see if that's going to be the case this time around. Justin, I'm going to kick off with you because, I mean, look, a weight for age grade 1 over a middle distance, it doesn't get more pure than that. We think of the Lomaral Kings Plate, Horse Chestnut Stakes. Obviously, we got the Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge, and then this, the Hong Kong Jockey Club Champions Cup. you want to win races like the Met, you want to win races like the Hollywoodbets Durban July, but there's a lot of value to winning these weight for age grade ones. What a field we got lined up. How do you read it?
Very, very strong. Good to see that for the last big one of the year, and obviously there's Horse of the Year title on the line and middle distance, etc., etc. I think I'm going to go again with See It Again. I've gone with him a few times, including last time. I thought on our last panel, I thought Green with Envy would win, and See It Again would be the banker for second or third. He would have been a length closer if he didn't get his running room taken from him in the last couple of strides. 1800 for me, bottom of his spectrum probably, but I think he's just about the best horse in the race here, and I think the class will see him through. Dave the King comes into the race. He's always a stamina question when he goes past a mile, but again, for like a lot of horses with that question mark, this is the track where you want to be stretching an extra furlong if you have to. Royal Victory will be in the mix. You've got to imagine Cousin Casey will be in the mix, and Flagman. So I think those horses within a length, 2 lengths, all of each other. I just think See It Again, slight advantage, and the Winchester Mansion's just been scratched, which has just come through, pulled muscle. So the 9 go to post. See It Again, drawn widest of all, but shouldn't have too much to do, and I think he'll end the season with a big race win.
And more than half the field are grade 1 winners, Brandon. Which way are you leaning? I don't think you can be overly confident about one just because of the class that's in this race. Everywhere you look is just proper individuals.
Sure, Alistair, and I think it's well summed up by Justin. I mean, See It Again is the class package. If we go back a few runs, remember this time last year he was chasing home Princess Kala. There was a cracking run. He came from a long way back. I know that Striker gets criticised a lot of times for riding this individual, but I think he rides him perfectly. Let's see, he'll get that sort of ride from the Blonde Bomber where you can sit as long as you possibly can and try and produce him as late as possible. So he'll be the horse to beat. I think Dave the King is really maturing into a nice type, Alistair. I thought he won well last time out. He had it sewn up going through the 300. It was a good ride from Muzi. I'm sure Richard Fourie will have some sort of trick up his sleeve. He likes to gallop this horse, number 9, Dave the King, and he's going to play the catch me if you can. He's fresh legs, Alistair. Obviously missing all those bigger races where some of these horses had to run in the Hollywoodbets Durban July. They would have been at their peak. Royal Victory, I do want to touch on him because I thought his run in the July was a cracker. He was also a little bit unlucky. At the top of the lane, in running betting, you probably thought he was going to do enough. So let's see. I see Muzayeni's opted to stick with him, Royal Victory, so he's also got to be some sort of a big run over here, Alice. It's not an easy race. You're going to have to go, again, a good 4 or 5 horses to make sure you survive.
Richard, the remark was made going into the Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge that if Dave the King were to win a grade 1, that was probably it for him, the weight for age mile. But on the evidence of that win, considering that he's not quite the tearaway that he was 12 months ago, it looks like he's added an extra bit to his armour, that he could very easily back that up. How do you feel going into this race against the quality that he's running against?
Look, this race is open. I wouldn't leave the 3-year-olds out now because in literally 3 days from this race, they're 4-year-olds. So they're getting 1.5 kilos from the older horses, which is quite a nice little bit of an advantage. And like Flagman's run in the July, jumped out, pace wasn't true, sat second, 1 off. Yeah, people might have wanted to criticize that ride, but what can you do when the speed is not on? And the horse got Peter length, so it was a great run. 1800 is probably sweet spot. Then Purple Pitcher, he's the type of horse that needs to roll forward, but I think in this sort of race, there's going to be a lot more natural athleticism where the speed is going to be naturally quicker. I don't think he'll be able to keep that spot. And then Cousin Casey, what a run from that draw. So yeah, open. I don't think it's cut and paste, See It Again all the way. Yes, he is prepped well. It's his 3rd run after his long rest, but I think everything around him is also fit. Yes, he's only got 4 lengths to make up, but that individual doesn't like to run past horses. The horse, not the jockey, the horse. He doesn't want to go past. So the moment he hits the front, he sort of just idles out of it. So that could be a bit of a tricky one, but hopefully everything goes well for Mr. Roberts and his team.
Very interesting remarks. We actually got a lot more out of that than I thought we would for the Champions Cup. What a race it is, the HKJC Champions Cup, race number 8 on the card. Let's move on to race number 9. It's the Riding High Together Gold Bracelet, over 2,000 metres of grade 2. Over the years, there have been absolute penalty kicks in this race. The best weighted and the handicapper generally gets it right. This year, we've got a few fillies that are trying untested waters in terms of distance. Like we know Raceday is a top quality filly, but how is she going to go over 2,000 metres? That all remains to be seen. Brandon, I'm going to kick off with you. Is there any direction you're taking here?
Alistair, I really like Red Palace. The race wasn't run to suit her last time out. I've made reference to it a number of times. She's a filly that loves to race up on speed. She didn't quite get there. There were a few horses, namely Humding and a few others that liked to be up there. It was a great ride from Strike on that occasion. But if you go and watch her, she, again, I don't like using that term, but she wasn't a dead horse at the line. She was actually staying on beautifully. Aldo now gets the ride.
It's his only ride on the day, isn't it?
Yeah, that's from what I understand.
Are you sure he's riding it? You see the weight?
Yes, that is.
57.
Look, he's been on the
split box
treadmill.
now.
Just been watching his statuses.
Yes.
He's been very active at Tableview Virgin Active. So perhaps he will make the trip, and I think it'll be worthwhile for him, because if she does get to the front over here, Alistair, I think she's going to be a big runner. Happy Chance, the only question mark would be the 2,000 metre trip. If I don't mind, Alistair, can I take direction and ask Richard what he thinks of Happy Chance over this trip? Because I know you've ridden her over 1,800 metres.
Yeah.
Will she go 10?
I think so. She's a dynasty breed, so she should be able to get it.
And she's got to be a runner, Alistair. That last one was a cracker. She had them stone cold that last 100 metres, and Humdinger fought back. So again, not an easy race, but if you really said you want to have a bet and you asked me for something, I'd lean towards Red Palace at 9-2.
Again, Richard, we're dealing with good horses drawn badly. Sarki, your ride, Hold My Hand. Raceday is, like I said, a question mark over this distance. Do we need to be a little bit careful in this race?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to throw in a couple of horses in there, purely because Saki last time ran the 2-4, got to through the 200 and was looking like it's done and dusted, and she sort of laid down a little bit. So based on that, bad draw, but can make up a lot of ground. If she gets halfway in the race, 6-7 lengths off, she's definitely in a winning shout. Holding My Hand, I went with this filly because she can't stay, but I need to get it switched off because she's quite strong. Roskova, very concerned about the trip. I think she's a very aggressive miler already, so that could be in the worst of the filly's advantages. And then Red Maple, she likes to run in a little bit, but can quicken off the speed. And then Red Palace, she won't get to the front like she gets in Cape Town. That will never happen, just so you know. They go at true pace there. She couldn't get there.
Except on Daily News Day.
Well, yeah, she probably ran away. But in Durban at Greyville, Hollywoodbets Greyville, they go a lot quicker than in Cape Town, Kenilworth. From there, not easy. I think for me, one of the darkest horses in the race is a horse called None Other. She's actually won a Group 1. And then the rest is a bit of an open race.
Yeah, all to play for. As we go into the last, the Longines Hong Kong International Race Day in December, Mgeni handicap listed feature, and they go at 6 o'clock. Richard, going to kick off with you. Dreamland Draw 1, how progressive is he? Because he looked like he was just a nice sprinter, now he's a seriously nice sprinter.
Yeah, I think well placed. Well, the man next to me, I think. Lovely horse, just easy going, keeps improving. I keep learning more about him. The first time I rode him completely wrong. He still won. And then after that, it became a lot more easier to ride him. Plum draw at Greyville. A lot of speed in the race. Definitely a live runner.
Justin, we've got the 2-year-old here, Pistol Pete. Very interesting runner, 52 kilos. Muzi Yeni takes her out. King of the Gauls, very good sprinter, but drawn in the bush. Last year's winner of this race, Pray for Rain in here as well. But Draw 1, Dreamland, with that type of profile, the fact that he's progressing all the while. Is he the one to beat, or are there others that you'll have a look at?
He's quite similar, I suppose, to Joker Man in the first. Just now stepping up to be tested after winning through the handicaps. It'll be interesting to see how he goes. Again, I think Pistol Pete is a massive runner. I mean, it's hard against older horses off a handicap sometimes. Sometimes I think it's actually easier with horses that the handicapper hasn't had a chance to get to. So in the case of a horse like Pistol Pete, I mean, he's 109, which sounds like a lot, but if he's a computer form sprint horse when he's 3, he's going to be 129. So he might be very low rated, you know, he just hasn't had a chance to get caught yet. And with a good draw and, you know, his natural ability, he's got to be a huge runner. And then maybe an outside shot for this filly in the race, Baltic Secret, who's a 5 furlong, that's her absolute max. She's been running in a 6 last couple of times, and it's been a bit tough for her. She's lost a little bit of shine, but she's got potential over a 5, so she could come into the mix as well.
Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's the 10-race program on Gold Cup Day at Hollywoodbets Greyville Sunday. Co-mingled, obviously, with World Pools, big Pick 6 pools, big exotics expected, Equus Awards on the horizon as well. So lots to play for. I trust this has been filled with information. Let's get that out. Richard, just quickly, your best of the day?
Rodeo Drive.
Okay. Brandon, your best bet of the day?
Professional double, Alistair. Rodeo Drive, quid pro quo.
Okay. Justin, any objections?
No, for the win bet's got to be Rodeo Drive, and I think for value, Bjorn Ironside 6.5 to 1. Good price.
Fantastic. Well, there's all the information that hopefully you need. Hopefully it's a good end to the season and we can kick off next season with a bang. Looking forward to welcoming you here to Cape Racing, to Hollywoodbets Kenilworth or Hollywoodbets Durbanville, which will be busy as it always is during the spring. Summer's not too far away. Don't go too far away either. We'll see you at the races. Till next time, goodbye.